Hello everybody, this is Mr. Laubach. Thank you for joining me in this video. Today we are going to dive into the fascinating and important concept in American history, Republican motherhood. We'll be exploring its significance during the periods 3 and 4 of the APUSH curriculum, which roughly spans from the American Revolution to midway through the 19th century or around 1850. To truly understand Republican motherhood, we need to step back in time to the late 18th and 19th centuries. This period of immense change from the Revolutionary War to the early years of the Republic. It was also a time of significant debate over women's roles in society. In the early days of the United States, there was a deep concern about the stability of the new nation. The founding fathers, who of course were all men, worried that for the Republic to endure, it needed virtuous and educated citizens. So they turned to women, particularly mothers, to help shape the character of the next generation. This brings us to the concept of Republican motherhood. Republican motherhood was the idea that women, as mothers, had a vital role to play in the development of the new nation. Women were seen as moral and civic educators of future generations. Women were considered inherently more moral and virtuous than men. They were responsible for instilling Republican values, such as civic virtue and moral uprightness, in their children. But what did this mean in practice? Well, women were expected to be educated to a certain degree, ensuring they could pass on these values effectively. They were encouraged to read and teach children about the principles of liberty and the responsibilities of good citizenship in a republic, meaning the United States. While this concept did empower women in some ways, it also reinforced traditional gender roles. Women were seen as the moral guardians of the home, whereas men were responsible for the public sphere, politics, and the economy. So Republican motherhood was a double-edged sword. It acknowledged women's significance in shaping the nation's future, but also confined them to a very domestic role in the house. During the late 18th and 19th centuries, women began to organize and participate in various social and reform movements. Many women recognized the contradictions between the ideals of Republican motherhood and their limited legal and political rights. This period witnessed the emergence of the women's rights advocates like Abigail Adams and later suffragettes, or those that fought for women to have the right to vote. As the nation continued to grow, so did the conversation about women's roles in society. In 1848, the Seneca Falls Convention in upstate New York marked a significant turning point in the struggle for women's rights. It was there that the famous Declaration of Sentiments was written, calling for equality for women and asserting that all men and women are created equal. This was pretty earth-shattering and progressive thoughts for the time. Oftentimes, the Seneca Falls Convention considered the official beginning of the women's suffrage movement. In conclusion, Republican motherhood was a concept born out of necessity during the early years of the United States. It recognized the critical role of women in shaping the nation's character, but also limited their societal roles. This era set the stage for the later women's rights movement, which sought to challenge these limitations and push for greater equality. So the era of Republican motherhood does not have a definite beginning and an end. It was kind of an underlying phenomenon that occurred during periods 3 and 4 and would continue but change in its scope later on. I hope you enjoyed this deep dive into the concept of Republican motherhood during periods 3 and 4. Thanks for watching, and I hope you have a great rest of the day.